Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to another segment of Ayada's Corner. Today we have a beautiful guest with us who is from our own community and is here to share kind of her background, the work she does, and her vision for our community. So I am humbled and honored to present to you Malaysia, and I will pass it to her to introduce herself.
Hi everyone, my name is Malaysia Abdi, pronoun she, hers, and I moved here from Arizona 6 years ago, and I currently live in Minneapolis in Ward 6, and I'm happy to be here.
So excited to have you, and welcome. Malaysia is a friend of Ayada Leads. She is someone who is very familiar to community organizing, community activism, and I think her track record and background really speaks to that. And I want to have you maybe speak about some of your academic background and just the position that you're in now with the city and how that all played out in terms of timeline.
So I started, first of all, like I never even thought that I was going to go to college, like ever. Going to university was just kind of not in the cards for me. But I started at a community college. Well, first I took my first criminal justice class when I was in high school, and it was senior year in high school, and I just fell in love with it because I'm a visionary, you know, and public safety just seems so practical and very hands-on, and that's something that was really appealing to me. And then I got my associates in criminal justice. Moved across the country with my partner in 2016, and then I thought I wanted to be a forensics nurse for a little bit. So I got involved at a rape crisis center in Minneapolis, and that kind of catapulted my career in public service. I got my bachelor's in criminal justice, and I just recently graduated with my master's in advocacy and political leadership. So I am a child of immigrants and the first person on both sides to graduate college. So that is by far my biggest accomplishment.
Yay, that's incredible. And then, so you graduated with your master's, and then also say more about the work that you've done in Minneapolis leading up to your current role within the city. Yep.
So, like I mentioned, I started working at a rape crisis center, and that experience changed my life. I was doing real work, and I say that as in, like, I felt like I was really making an impact in the way that I was leading somebody throughout a traumatic experience, and I was able to connect and just be a safe place for that person. I was a youth counselor where I worked with youth in St. Paul who were experiencing homelessness, abuse, involved in the criminal justice system, and let's see, I have done, a lot of my work has been around public safety and criminal justice, and my first experience in the bureaucracy was a probation officer in Hennepin County, and that was what I say, my first big girl job. Start of the pandemic, and yeah, I carry that experience with me everywhere because I've seen directly how my decisions affect another person that I have a relationship with. Like, those people counted on me, but I also had a job to do. So it was a really humbling experience knowing that everything that I did mattered.
I love that. I love that. And then you served as a policy aide to some degree. I don't know what year it was, but then could you say more about that work that you did and how that translated to community engagement and community outreach work?
Yep. So last year in July, I was hired by Councilmember Cunningham in the 4th Ward, and that was the first time he took a chance on me, you know, because I wanted to work in policy so bad, but like everybody would say, how am I going to get experience if I don't have experience, you know? But he believed in me, and that position was one of the hardest things that I've had to be a part of. I was representing a community of like 36,000 people.
Love that.
And I transferred over after the term to the Civil Rights Department because I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready to leave the city. I knew there was still more work to be done, and I chose the Civil Rights Department because we're always supposed to do the right thing. We have 21 departments in the city, about to be 22, and if the community trusts anybody, it should be us, and I wanted to be a part of that. I wanted to be a part of empowering the community, holding those folks accountable who are meant to serve us, because like I want to say, we work at the city for the community. The community doesn't work for us. And I'm committed to bridging that gap. So I thought civil rights would be the best place to do it.
Could you, for those who might not be aware, the city of Minneapolis does have a civil rights, human rights office. Could you talk about the types of services available for people and how the civil rights office actually shows up for community? Because to your point, you work for community, the community doesn't work for you.
So we have divisions that cover a wide range of things. Our labor standards division enforces our minimum wage and sick and safe time ordinance. And our complaint investigations division handles discrimination of employment, landlord, housing. A bulk of our services are for employment. Discrimination is something that affects my community, the Black community, the Somali community, the immigrant community, and it's also really important to make sure that we are front and center, just to the point of that we work for community. And yes, so our services are free. If you've ever experienced discrimination from your landlord, your employer, you could reach out to us and we can help you file a complaint. That also goes for law enforcement. And please feel free to email me, reach out to me. I would love to answer any questions about that.
And we'll include this video in our upcoming newsletter, so we'll make sure that your contact information is there, and then this link for them to learn more about how to maybe start a complaint request if something were to occur in any aspect of your life. Hopefully that's not the case, but unfortunately it happens far too often now for it to be not something we acknowledge. So tell me, I know you and I have had conversations about reimagining community engagement, how people can start to really see agency within themselves to engage in the system. What does that look like for you? What is the vision that you have in a perfect world, even though as hopeless sometimes the news makes us feel? What's your hope for the future and how we can start to leverage our community to make the difference that we so rightfully deserve?
Very powerful question. I just want to start off by saying our oppressor cannot be our savior and won't be our savior. We have everything that we need within us. We don't have to learn more. We don't have to get another job to get something on our resume to do something. We are capable of making change for ourselves. And I just want to be a part of a movement that we rely on our neighbors. I want to be a part of a movement that holds our elected officials accountable, and also knowing that safety does not mean law enforcement. I believe that true public safety is when you could fall asleep and you have food in your belly. You aren't working paycheck to paycheck. You're able to take your kids on vacation, and to me, safety is thriving and not surviving. And I feel like we really need to instill that in our community, that we deserve everything that everybody else has. We're not looking for any handouts, but we deserve the opportunity to at least compete. And everything I do is for my community, and I put a huge emphasis on our youth, because I am just committed to inspiring them. I know what it feels like to want to be somebody, but you don't have anybody to look up to. And I just want to help build whatever that is to the community, and whatever that looks like.
Yeah, and that's very well spoken, by the way. For a second, I thought I was watching like someone's like campaign speech, because I'm all in it. Malaysia for president. I would definitely vote for you. No, but there's something that you said, that we are enough, and that we have it within ourselves to make the change. And I think that it's organizations like Ayada Leads, it's organizations that are very much grassroots, that this can actually happen, in which people can come together, share ideas, share their concerns. And I think holding some level of transparency about what's happening in our community, and then becoming that kind of like that megaphone to our public officials to say, actually, you think this is happening, or whatever it is that you've passed is impacting our community, but it's not. And here are the stories of the people that are actually impacted day to day. So I think there's just something there's an opportunity where we have seen the power of the collective. And I think if we reference back to the summer of 2020, when the George Floyd thing happened, and how people all rose up to say, this is not okay, and we demand a system in which our men, our women are not wrongfully killed for the color of their skin, or for whoever they are. So we've seen it before happen in our city, and I think this is the city to make it happen again. But how do we make it sustainable? I think that's where the gap is. It's like, we've seen the movement arise. We saw the civil rights movement actually happen in real time. But how do we ensure that that momentum doesn't go away? How are we engaging on an ongoing basis in the systems that are supposed to represent and serve us? So like, what's, for someone who's watching this who wants to get involved in community engagement or wants to make a difference, what would be your advice to them?
That's a good question. That nothing is ever too small to do. I'm a relationship builder by nature, and I always say that I'm going to change the world, and I am. Don't get me wrong, but that's a huge weight on my shoulders. But how I just carry myself is that every single day I can make a difference. I can't control what I can't control. Like, for example, like something like me and my partner in the summer times, we would get a case of Gatorade and like go over to North Minneapolis and like hand them out to the parks, like, you know what I mean, to kids, and just talk to them like that. That's something. It sounds so minuscule, but like, just to have the ability to build those relationships to that level, like, that's going to make an impact. Like, like, don't feel like you have to wait to run for office to do something. Like, you could do it now. You could reach out to your city council member. You can reach out to your county commissioner, your state representatives, and you could also do your own campaign. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we could do anything that we want, and I really need my community to know that and believe that in their hearts, that we are capable of doing it, but we just have to believe in ourselves. No, I love it. Even just the example of passing out Gatorade, that just shows you're being a good neighbor. And I feel like that the essence and the virtue of being a good neighbor has been lost, because people assume that you need to have a title to make a difference, but you can just be a kind person, and then just demonstrate kindness, because you never know. Like, I feel like we've been bombarded with like dark news and like things happening in the world that can be overwhelming, where you could create light where there might be darkness. So you're just very well spoken. I'm so honored to just share this kind of conversation with you. We are partnering with Malaysia to do some fun work. We bring the experts to y'all, okay? Y'all don't have to do the work. We find the people, okay? We bring them to you. And we're excited to do something hopefully in the late July. So by the time you watch this and this comes out, we do invite you to stay connected. You'll see more information in our newsletter. But how do people stay connected with you? How would they find you, and how do they stay connected to the work that you're doing? Because keep an eye on her. She's going to be truly, truly a trailblazer, and you're going to miss out if you don't keep an eye. So she's not lying.
Exactly, co-signed.
Hit me up on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
My contact will be attached to this video, so please reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm always looking to build power with people. I'm always looking to share space and just like chop it up. Like, you know, I take pride in my ability to connect with people, and it's just something that like I'm really fulfilled by. So yeah, just I love people. I love sharing space. Please hit me up. I will always respond. And yeah, just know that the working at the enterprise is a really hard place to work. But there is still people that are in there that have the community at the forefront. And yeah.
Love it, love it. Well, we will close this segment, and for those of you who might be watching this, tomorrow will be Eid, so Eid Mubarak. We wish you and your loved ones a very happy Eid, and we will see you in the next segment. Assalamu alaikum.